Many years ago, in a small village surrounded by vast farmlands, there lived a beautiful young woman named Grace. She was as radiant as the morning sun, but Grace's family was poor. They barely had enough to eat, and their hut leaked when it rained. Life had always been hard for them. In the same village lived Donald, a wealthy but mysterious old man. Donald had no children, no wife, and no joy in his life. People whispered about him, saying he carried a darkness that could not be seen but was always felt. Yet, he had money enough to make him powerful. Whenever Grace's family was in desperate need, it was Donald who helped them. He gave them food, paid their debts, and made sure they survived when others would have turned their backs. One day, Donald came to Grace's father with a request. "I have done much for your family," he began, his deep voice firm. "Now it is time for you to do something for me. I want to marry your daughter." Grace's father froze. He knew the man was too old for his daughter, but how could he refuse? Donald had kept them alive, and they had nothing to offer him in return. Slowly, he nodded. When Grace heard the news, she wept bitterly. "Father, please, I don't love him. I don't want to marry him," she begged. But her father's heart had hardened. "Do you want your family to starve? This is not about love. This is about survival," he said. The wedding took place quickly, and Grace was led to Donald's home. It was large and cold, filled with shadows and silence. From the first night, Grace felt a strange heaviness in the air. Donald rarely spoke to her, and when he did, his words were sharp and commanding. She tried to find comfort in prayer and quiet tears. What Grace didn't know was that Donald carried a deadly curse. Years ago, he had wronged the gods, and they had punished him. He could never stay married to any woman for more than a month. If he did, both he and the woman would perish. The only way to break the curse was to marry a virgin and ensure she was sacrificed. Before the month ended, Donald had chosen Grace not for love, but to save himself. On the 29th night of their marriage, Donald woke before dawn and left the house. He went deep into the forest, where a shrine to the old god stood. There, he performed the ritual that lifted the curse. Grace, unaware of what had happened, woke to find her husband distant and cold. The next day, Donald went to her family's hut. "I owe you nothing now," he declared, his voice cruel. "Your daughter has served her purpose. Do not come to me for help again." Grace's father fell to his knees, begging for mercy, but Donald turned and walked away. Grace returned to her family, broken and betrayed. She learned the truth about Donald's curse from a village elder who revealed the dark ritual. She wept, not for herself, but for her family, who had been left in even greater suffering than before.